My name is Leora Van Ness. I married a man named Kalen Roth when I was 25. He was the kind of man who didn't just promise dreams, he planned them. We built a peaceful life in the quiet town of Fairwillow. Kalen was a logistics coordinator, and his job often required travel. At first, I didn't mind the space. I would paint, read, and tend to my indoor plants. But slowly, silence began to fill the walls too deeply. Kalen's younger brother, Hardin Roth, had just finished university and came to live with us while looking for work. He had a calm presence and a mind full of curious stories. At dinner, he'd make me laugh with facts about clouds or puzzles from books he read. To me, Hardin was just family. Until something quietly shifted. It wasn't a dramatic moment, no sudden realization, just a small afternoon when the power went out and we sat on the porch watching the sky change color. Arden told me about a treehouse they once built as kids. He laughed as he remembered how it collapsed when they tried to camp in it. I laughed too, but something lingered in the way he looked at me, gentle, respectful, but too long. That night, I kept thinking about it, not because he did anything wrong, but because I felt something stir inside me, and that scared me. I told myself it was loneliness, nothing more, a passing moment in an otherwise normal life, but deep down, I feared it wasn't. Over the next few weeks, I created more distance. I cooked meals earlier, stayed in my room longer. I tried to write poems again, something I had stopped after marriage. But feelings are strange. They don't always knock before entering. Sometimes I'd hear Arden humming from the kitchen, and something would ache inside me. Not because I wanted something to happen, but because I knew I shouldn't feel anything at all. I never told him. I never showed anything. I only prayed it would go away. Then, one afternoon, Kalen returned home earlier than expected. He looked tired, but relieved. "I've been thinking," he said. "I'm always away, chasing numbers, but what about us?" We sat down and I poured out everything, not about Arden, but about the loneliness, the emptiness, the waiting. Kalen listened, not defensively, not in guilt, but in real, quiet understanding. He said, "Then let's start over, right here, no more months apart." And in that moment, I saw the man I married, still willing to fight for the silence between us. From that day on, Kalen reduced his travel. We started cooking together again, played card games, took slow walks without checking our phones. I could feel something heal inside me. I smiled more, spoke more, listened more. Arden noticed too. One day, he told me he was moving to another city. He had received a job offer. He said, "This house helped me figure things out. Thank you." And I realized, without words, He too had felt the quiet current. But like me, he respected the silence. We both chose to protect what mattered. Time passed, and new joys arrived. I became a mother to twins, 2 little boys with Kaylin's quiet smile and my wild curls. My days were suddenly full. Bottles, blankets, bedtime stories. Arden would visit now and then. He brought books, always asking, "Are they learning to dream yet?" I'd laugh and nod. The connection I once feared had long faded. Now I only saw him as a chapter that taught me something very human: the need to be seen, to be valued, to be honest with ourselves. The years moved gently. Kaylin and I faced normal challenges: missed sleep, work stress, toddler tantrums. But something in our bond had grown deeper. He understood the version of me I never thought I had to explain, and I loved the version of him who stayed home, who built forts from couch pillows, who stayed up learning lullabies on YouTube. One evening, as we watched the kids chase fireflies, Kaylin said, "I'm glad you told me back then. I wouldn't have known how to fix what I didn't see." And I said, "You did more than fix. You came home to me." As the boys grew, I found time for myself again. I started painting, not just to pass time, but to express. One of my pieces, "A Quiet Lake Under a Stormy Sky," was selected for a local gallery. Arden came to the opening and stood quietly in front of it. He said, "You've always had storms, but now you're painting the calm too." I smiled. That was our first real conversation in years, and yet it needed no more words. We had both grown, changed, and understood. Now, I'm 37. Our family has expanded, not just in size, but in depth. We laugh more, forgive faster, hold longer. Sometimes I look back and think, what if I had spoken to Arden back then? What if I had let those feelings grow? But I also know this: choosing not to follow a feeling is sometimes the greatest form of love. I didn't lose anything. Instead, I gained a stronger marriage, a clearer heart, and a peaceful home. And peace, I've learned, is always a choice. This is not a story of regret. This is a story of recognition, of knowing where the heart wavers and still guiding it home. I still write in my journal. The last line I wrote says, "Love is not only about what you feel, but what you protect." My name is Leora Vanessy. I once quietly fell for someone I shouldn't have, but I never let that silent wind become a storm, and that made all the difference.